Some men seem untouchable, unstoppable, almost immortal. Tommy Shelby is one of those men in this episode. His choices, his enemies, and his own dark mind collide in ways that will leave you questioning what survival really means. This isn't just another fight for power, it's a story about legacy, betrayal, and the price of living like a man who refuses to die. The episode opens with a quiet tension that feels almost unbearable. The city streets, smoky and dimly lit, reflect the chaos simmering beneath the surface. Tommy Shelby walks through these streets with the same controlled calm he has always had, but there is a subtle heaviness in his eyes. Everyone knows that he has survived countless threats before, yet the air hints that something bigger, something more dangerous, is coming. He is not just a gang leader or a businessman in these moments. He is a strategist. A man calculating every step, every ally, and every enemy. There is an unspoken understanding in the faces of those around him. Tommy is not a man to be crossed, but even the most untouchable men have cracks. As the scene unfolds, we see glimpses of his family, each one carrying their own fears and doubts. Polly, anxious yet resolute, senses the tension, knowing that the decisions Tommy makes now will ripple through their lives. Michael, still trying to prove himself, struggles with loyalty and ambition, caught between the family he wants to protect and the power he wants to seize. The episode carefully shows these dynamics without needing words, creating a layered narrative of anticipation. Outside the Shelby world, enemies are preparing. Rival gangs, cunning and ruthless, move quietly, planning their attacks with precision. The audience is shown hints of these movements through shadows, passing whispers, and distant, ominous figures. There is a sense that these threats are not just physical but psychological, targeting Tommy's mind and testing the limits of his endurance. The episode highlights the fact that being immortal is not about never dying. It is about surviving every attack, every betrayal, and every moral compromise that life throws at a man like Tommy. His calmness, therefore, is not weakness, it is the armor he has built over years of war, deception, and manipulation. Every glance, every pause, and every choice he makes is deliberate, reinforcing why he has become a legend in this world. Tommy's mind, however, is never at rest, even in moments of apparent peace. He is thinking several steps ahead. He revisits old alliances, considering who will betray him and who will stand with him when the storm finally arrives. His memory is both a weapon and a burden. Recalling past betrayals that still sting and victories that have hardened him, each flashback or reminder of the past is carefully layered in the narrative to show that Tommy is a man who has learned, through blood and fire, that immortality comes at a cost. He cannot trust easily, and even those he calls family must prove their loyalty continually. This undercurrent of suspicion adds a tension that permeates every scene, making the calm moments almost unbearable because the audience knows that any second could erupt into violence. Meanwhile, the city itself seems to play a role in Tommy's story. The streets, filled with the remnants of previous conflicts, mirror his life, scarred, dangerous, but alive with energy. The music, subtle and haunting, underscores the sense of anticipation. A reminder that this is not just a battle of men, but a battle of wills. Every interaction, every glance, and every silence has meaning. The episode spends time on small details: the flicker of a lamp, the distant sound of footsteps, the hurried whispers of those plotting against him to create a world that feels alive, dangerous, and unpredictable. It is in this careful build-up that the story sets the stage for the events to come. As the first section unfolds, the audience begins to understand that this episode is not just about action or conflict. It is about the psychology of a man who seems immortal. Tommy Shelby has survived everything the world could throw at him, but the challenges ahead will test him in ways he has never faced. The calm before the storm is tense, deliberate, and layered with meaning, ensuring that viewers are fully immersed in the Shelby world. They are ready to follow him step by step through every betrayal, every choice, and every moment that defines what it means to be the immortal man in a world full of danger and deceit. By the end of this section, the audience is fully invested, understanding that Tommy's journey is as much about his mind as it is about his enemies, and that the stakes have never been higher. The episode quickly moves from quiet anticipation to the simmering heat of conflict, showing that in Tommy Shelby's world, peace is always temporary. Early in the story, we see him navigating the complex web of alliances and rivalries that define his empire. Every conversation, every deal, carries weight because Tommy knows that even a single mistake could cost him everything. In this part of the episode, his careful strategy begins to collide with the unpredictable actions of his enemies. Small provocations, whispered threats, and sudden appearances build an atmosphere of constant tension. The audience sees how Tommy's mind is always working, always calculating, as he balances the risk of open confrontation with the need to maintain control. What makes this episode so gripping is that these conflicts are not just about physical power, they are about psychological warfare. Tommy faces threats that attack his intelligence, his pride, and even his sense of morality, forcing him to act in ways that are both clever and ruthless. The narrative shifts between Tommy's strategic maneuvers and the schemes of those who wish to see him fall. Rival gang leaders make subtle moves to test him, sending messages that seem small but carry enormous danger. Each scene builds tension by showing consequences for even minor errors. Michael's impatience and desire to prove himself add another layer of complication, as Tommy must manage his own instincts while keeping a watchful eye on those closest to him. The episode does a masterful job of demonstrating that leadership in this world is not just about strength, it is about foresight, understanding human nature, and predicting the next move before anyone else does. Every decision Tommy makes ripples through the story, highlighting how fragile the balance of power can be. Family dynamics play a critical role in this section. Polly's presence is both grounding and challenging for Tommy. Her instincts, honed through years of experience and survival, often clash with his calculated methods. This creates moments of tension that feel real, as viewers can sense the emotional stakes behind every decision. In one scene, Polly subtly challenges Tommy's plan, reminding the audience that in the Shelby family, loyalty is never blind and love does not guarantee agreement. These moments are interwoven with the main plot in a way that makes the story richer, showing that the threats Tommy faces are external and internal. The family's reactions to danger, their fears, and their loyalty create a sense of urgency that drives the episode forward, ensuring the audience remains engaged with every twist and turn. The rising tension is further amplified by the introduction of a mysterious new figure. This character's motives are unclear, adding intrigue and forcing both Tommy and the audience to question every interaction. This uncertainty creates suspense, making the world feel unpredictable and dangerous. Every glance, every word, and every hidden gesture is loaded with meaning, demonstrating how finely tuned Tommy's senses must be. The episode emphasizes that in a world ruled by cunning and violence, the smallest details can determine life or death. As Tommy begins to act against these threats, his methods are precise and calculated, often relying on deception and timing rather than brute force. This showcases his intelligence and reinforces the idea that survival is not just about courage, it is about thinking several moves ahead of everyone else. The episode also explores themes of loyalty and betrayal through the movements of Tommy's allies and enemies. As the story unfolds, viewers witness alliances forming and breaking, sometimes in unexpected ways. Characters who seem trustworthy reveal hidden agendas, while others step up to protect Tommy in critical moments. This interplay of loyalty and betrayal heightens the drama and demonstrates that in the Shelby world, trust is earned, tested, and easily lost. The audience is drawn into a constant state of anticipation, knowing that every action has consequences and that the smallest misstep could ignite a chain reaction. Through this carefully layered storytelling, the episode builds toward moments Of confrontation that feel inevitable yet shocking, the tension is continuous, weaving together personal, familial, and criminal conflicts into a single, compelling narrative. By the end of this section, the audience is fully immersed in the stakes of Tommy Shelby's world, understanding that the events about to unfold will challenge his power, his intelligence, and his very identity. The rising tension sets the stage for dramatic confrontations, reveals, and decisions that will define the meaning of the Immortal Man and the cost of surviving in a world where danger is everywhere. And nothing is certain. The episode reaches its turning point as Tommy Shelby steps into the storm he has been preparing for. Every move he has made up to this moment converges into a high-stakes series of confrontations, both physical and psychological. Rival gangs and hidden enemies make their presence felt, forcing Tommy to respond not just with violence but with strategy. The tension is palpable as each action he takes carries enormous